Hello, I'm Dane. Happy Sunday and welcome to another episode of Dax Jutsu. In today's episode, we will discuss something a little bit more advanced. We will make a post request in Power Query. So you might have been using an API as your data source, and normally you are given this string of, well, you're given this URL that has parameters, and you change the parameters. And when you click on it, you open it in browser, you will see the contents. And this is called a let's this one is called a get request. With get request, you're able to see the content in a browser, but with post request, this view is not available. So in today's episode, we'll be using um, this website to get a get request. So here's what you're going to do. Once you have opened the website, which is company announcement, click on F12, press F12 on your keyboard. So the developer tool comes up, and then we will interact with the browser. So ABS-CBN Corporation, I type in ABS-CBN Corporation, and you will notice in the network and fetch XHR, it populates something, which actually what I just did. So I search ABS, and then that's my term, ABS, and then I selected ABS-CBN Corporation, but we don't need this one. The next thing we're going to do is, of course, search. And let's see, here it is. So it says here that this is a post request. It's a post request, and these on the bottom ones are our headers, request headers, and we will need those. Not all of them, but it will be a trial and error figuring out which ones are needed and which ones are not. So that's one thing for you to figure out and explore. And this is our payload. Our payload is kind of our parameters. So ABS-CBN Corporation is actually company 114. That is company 114. And keyword is CBN, ABS-CBN Corporation. But keyword is not necessary. I know it's not necessary because I've done this several times already. I don't know what this one is, but surely we'll be needing the dates, the from dates, and to dates. And we also need the page number because otherwise we don't input page number. We'll just see the first page. So let's click on page number 2 and that's it. So we now have extra payload parameters. So this is a page number which we click, of course, click page number 2 and so on and so forth. And this will be translated in Power Query. And we will be using the function called web.contents, which allows us to um, indicate the header parameters as well as a content that needs to be posted to post against the URL by passing a binary JSON payload. And this is what we'll be doing in the query editor. So let's start. Let me just create a new query. Line query. Advanced editor. And let's start populating this. Here. What is our URL? Our URL is this. And remember when we're using event editor, for after each step, we need to use a comma, unless that step is immediately preceding the in clause or the in keyword. So we have our URL, and the next thing we need to do is to have our headers. Most of so what do we need? Okay, so I've done this already, and I've checked that these are not needed. So what I'm going to do is I'll be just copy pasting the header, which I already have. Mm, Header, this is header. So let's go back to that web page. Use this, and let's compare header. So this is our URL, and our header. Let's start with accept, which is this one. Accept encoding. We only need gzip and dfloat because Power BI doesn't understand, or Power Query doesn't understand BR and ZSTD. Accept language. Here it is. I've tested that content length is not necessary. A while ago, this was 119. Now this is 141. So origin. This is our origin. Referrer is this one. This is referrer. And SecFetch site. Same origin. And user agent, which is this one, Mozilla. Now, user agent will change depending on the browser you're using. But, we're just kind of mimicking the manual way of accessing a browser. And requested with, there you go. So the next thing we want to do is to get the payload or to create a payload. So post data will just rename this payload. And then we'll be creating a record of payloads. The payload, let's copy these. Oops. Equals company ID equals. Now, these all need to be in a string, and we don't need this keyword. Or we don't. I don't think we need this. I've already tested that we don't need this. And it's place. And the sorting, I don't think very necessary. And comma. Now our payload is done. The next thing we want to do is if we go back to Rabbit contents, when making a post request against URL, we need to pass a binary JSON payload and parsing the response as JSON. So first, what we're going to do is we'll be using, okay, you already have that. Available. I already have that ready. So here. So this is our content, which will be passed to the query as our JSON payload. So what this URI.build query string does is this. Now let's go back to that browser. View sources. So this specific function here converts this record into this string. And since we don't have let me create a new source and display that blank here. So text you let payload equals in payload and delete. You should return the a similar text string. That's it. So that is what this function does. URI.build query string. Let's go back to that, go to advanced editor. And of course, we need to pass that in as a JSON file. Okay, and the next thing we want to do now is, of course, to get our response. Our response is we need the headers and we need the payload converted into JSON payload content. It should be content and URL. The result will not be a JSON file, but an HTML code, so we don't need this response. And now what I'm going to do, I'll just delete all. Let me clean this up a bit. Delete all those. Delete. Mm, I'll insert a step because Power BI sometimes does something which are unnecessary. And then I'll parse this as a text and we'll see the content. Yep. So this is, we have page number 2, right? Yep, page number 2, and page number 2 is, what do we have? Just 4 rows. Let's see. So I think we have it. So for December 6th, 2022, October 6th, November 7th, and January 4th. So we now have made a post request. But we need this essay tags because, um, okay, this is what I was saying earlier. That's tags. We need this essay tags because we won't be able to um we won't be able to try that. Let me try again. Let me just show it. Let me get this custom and double click. And let's see if we can actually So this is what what I was saying. We cannot use add tables here using example using this by double clicking, unfortunately, because there is no data, but we know there is a data inside. So what I'll be doing is I'll be getting this file as text from binary. I'll be converting the binary file as text. Copy that, go to Notepad, and then HTML, and I will save that as HTML. So I've already saved the file as HTML. So this is test.html and this is the content. So what I'm going to do now is I will try to use table, or I will try to use adding table from example. So I'll go ahead and use source web table one. Okay, so we have this. Actually, I don't need the table user examples. So we already have this, and I'll just click OK. And I will copy the code. I will apply this code to here. Alright. We'll copy the whole code. And response. And I'll go ahead and paste that in here. So I don't need this. And I'll point source to response. And I'll delete this. And now, there we go. So if you need to add more data from that HTML, then you need to use add using examples. But for the looks of it, I don't think I need more. And I hope you learned something. That's how you do a post request in Power Query. And if you're quite confused, there's always ChatGPT. You can always ask ChatGPT questions. That's what AI are for. You can always post questions in Power BI community. Well, thank you for staying with me and have a good one. Bye bye.